Here.
Sorry. Thank you. Is that better? Yeah, I hear you. Roll. We don't have to do that again. All right, our first item on the agenda, approval of meeting minutes for May 16th.
No questions.
Do I have a motion?
I move to approve.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? We have no old business tonight, so we're going to move on to new business. 9344 White. Is the applicant here to tell us about your project? Yes, please. And I don't see a mic. Is that a problem? Oh, it's in the thing? Okay. Have your submission up on the board. All right, tell us about your project, please.
Basically, we're adding an addition to bump out um, for us to extend the kitchen. And we have layout, this drawing shows that 7 feet to 8 feet maximum bump out with pretty much the same um, window style, shingles with we have a little bit of concrete slab that we have to put in the back, and then freeze wall and all that stuff that we have to, as the plan shows. And a lot of cosmetic as far as painting inside, vinyl floorings, and a little bit of minor plumbing work to relocate the kitchen style.
Is that the right house?
That's correct, yep.
There it is. So, hang on, let's go back to this. Not really visible from the street.
I think the materials around, they're actually noted to match existing, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Existing one is on up top.
I don't have any questions.
Sorry. I'm sorry. So they had addition. I am Jason Shea. I am gonna talk about this. I wasn't gonna talk today, but I will. So that's their addition. We're just gonna match the siding and whatnot, so everything looks uniform.
That piece is existing, and then we're adding this piece.
Yes, that's correct. That's where the new kitchen's gonna be. So, looks like a lot of work, but it's really not. It's all just so quick. Bump out. So,
One question, where's I'm seeing the condensing unit for the air conditioner. Where's that gonna go?
so we're leaving it to the HVAC. Depends on, we're hoping to go to the side of the building. But we see neighbors have it side when he says no. So, but I'm leaving it to the professionals to pull the permit and make that decision. I think that's the only thing we were kind of, because we've seen neighbors that have units to the side and some are not. So I'm gonna have the mechanical side pull their permits and, you guys, they can figure that out.
So I guess we can sort of talk about that issue, but we don't really vote on the zoning issues. So,
Gotcha.
but to get the permit, you would have to meet
Sure.
the
And
requirements.
that's where we'll have
Yeah.
mechanical, I think there's preference and there's code. So whatever you guys say, so.
All right, so I don't see any virtual attendees, but we do have people in the chamber. So is there anyone here from the public that would like to comment on this proposal? Not having any questions, do we have a motion?
I would move to approve as noted. Did you make notes? No, move to approve as
Highlighted that
submitted.
area, that was it. Because we had all the finishes noted, and it was a complete submission. I will second the motion. Calling the roll. Carl Carlin,
Yes.
Matt Foreman, yes. You get to go see them when they're open for business to apply for the permit.
Can I ask a quick question on that? So we'll see you guys ASAP. What's the process once I guess we'll resubmit the information? Is it like a week out or call you? I got you. Thank you.
Back to our agenda. Business 8818 West Pendleton Avenue. Is the owner here? All of your different pieces available up on the screen. Here's the plan. Pull your Google map as well, so. About your project, please.
Okay, well, first, I'm Tom Niemeyer. I own Space Architects and Builders, and I'm the architect there. So this project is a little special for us because it's really our first development project that we're doing. And if you guys are familiar with the property, there's an existing home on it right now that we plan to take down and build a new residence there. The new residence will be about 2,600, a little under 2,600 square feet. It's one story. There's a one-car garage. There's a full basement. The home is designed as a spec home. I mean, we don't have a buyer for it or a client, but we're targeting, it's a 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath home. So we think it can fit a lot of different people, families, and whoever, but it's really targeted for an age-in-place home. We have 0 threshold entries at the front and the rear, meaning a wheelchair can have no steps and no barriers to enter the home. The kitchen's been designed to also be accommodating for a wheelchair access. All the cabinetry is drawers, accessible through someone disabled. The hallways are wider. They're about 4'6" wide. The primary suite has a roll-in shower and easy turnaround for the wheelchairs inside, including the closet and the bathroom and the bedroom. I'll note that not every room is accessible. We feel like the chances of a person disabled living alone there is probably fairly small. So there's a few rooms that will have doors that are 30 inches instead of 36 inches wide. So they wouldn't be accessible for a wheelchair. But all of the rooms that are important, like the laundry room, bedrooms, kitchen, living room, are all, very accessible. We're also trying to raise the quality level of this for a spec home. We've got a metal roof for the home, and we have a siding that's called LP siding. It's a composite material. Looks a lot like wood. It does have a paint finish, but it's a 30-year warranty. So part of the direction for this home is to be low maintenance for anyone who lives there, which is also why I can't guarantee we're going to be able to pull it off, but we're trying to also do the yard without grass. That's we hope we can pull that off.
Zero-scape,
What's that?
full on zero-scape or like permeable paver?
Oh yeah, they'll be permeable. Yeah, they'll be like rock garden, mulch beds, things like that. We're just trying to make it so ideally someone that lives there would not have to own a lawnmower and a weed eater and all of that, and just have a very low maintenance home. The windows are all aluminum clad wood windows that are excellent quality. What else can I tell you? So the other thing that we're in the budget phase right now, and what we would really like to do is use SIP panels. I don't know if you guys are familiar with SIP panels. Are you familiar with them? I can explain them if you want. Don't need it. Cool.
Both architects.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so good. We really want to use those, and it's kind of be a little bit budget dependent. We've got bids on them, and then we're going to compare that with SIP framing and regular installation, but that would be our hope that we could do SIP panels in the design. So I'm happy to answer any questions you guys got.
Attendees online still. I'll just ask, is there any public comment? All right, first of all, I will say this. Over 90% of the stuff we get is catalog homes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to see something
Thank you.
completely custom.
Yeah.
Also, I do like the LP Smart Side, the engineered wood, so it's for other stakeholders in the neighborhood, it's equivalent to a hardy plank, engineered material.
Right.
Because at first glance, it almost looks like it's a metal siding.
Right. It's a grooved vertical panel that we'll use. Right. We were going to do the board and batten, and then we just started seeing so much of it everywhere. We decided to go with the grooved panel.
But it's that same type of material we
Yes.
see all over.
Yeah.
Where is Core 10?
So Core 10, the Core 10 is in the front planter box in front of that large window on the front there. That's the Core 10 planter box
okay.
there. We're also planning on using Core 10 in the back. The back of the house, there's actually a pretty big grade transition towards the back. And our thought was that we would have a raised bed back there where we'd use Core 10 to hold back that soil. And then the other thought is that we're using pea gravel as a ground cover. Like we'd have compacted rock and then pea gravel on top of that to avoid grass. We do have some retaining Core 10, I'm not going to call them walls because they're really just a little, embedded, 1/4 inch thick by 8 inch, something embedded in the ground that will hold the pea
Almost
gravel.
edging.
Yeah, edging, yeah.
Candid and for the record, Corten steel is a
Right. White concrete sidewalk, yeah,
brown stains.
yeah.
But it seems like a wonderful use and a nice accent. I did see reference to a basement window egress, and then I do see the stairs. But from the elevations, I'm assuming there's only one main level, but is there something below?
There's just one main level to the basement, if that's what,
The basement, there's a
Yeah.
basement underneath.
the basement, there's a full basement underneath. Yeah, and we've got the egress window in the far back. There's really no plans for us, like, we're not running plumbing down there, we're not roughing out a bathroom, but it's more for like, for somebody in the future, maybe, might finish out the basement, because it is a deep pour. It'll be an 8-foot, ceiling height.
There wasn't a basement plan in the package I got. I don't know
Oh.
if I missed it or not.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
It actually doesn't affect the exterior, except at that egress window, which honestly looks a little small.
Agreed, sorry.
No, just,
We're good.
it looked like you had a question.
It would have to be what?
It would have to be included as part of the
Okay, yeah.
compacted gravel is included as part of the calculations for stormwater. So
Okay.
just take that into
Yeah,
consideration.
we have a civil engineer on board that is, will be developing her plans, so. Yeah,
And then balance that. But not typically our issue, it will be part of your permit.
permit issue, yeah, understood.
Right, so there is a full basement, but we have an egress window, no upstairs. Mr. Carlin, did you have questions?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, I agree with the sentiments. It's nice to see custom work in the neighborhoods. It's good timing. We had another, I don't know if you call it contemporary, modern, whatever you want to refer to it, custom house come in last month. Quite a bit of discussion around it. And, ultimately approved it. I will say, just again for the record and just to start the conversation, personal taste aside, sort of style dictations aside, things we don't usually travel in. This house has a significantly lower level of detail attached to it than the one we previously approved, and that was an issue that came up in that discussion, right? And it comes up quite frequently, actually. So, for instance, your house, this design is quite different from a lot of the catalog houses we see, but a lot of times we'll see, some detail on the front, the drill, detail on the front, and then you turn the side and it's just gone, and there's not even trim on the windows, right? So we will tend to draw the line that you need to have trim on the windows. Maybe there's something in the gable. Something. We don't try to design from the bench here, but we do try to ask for some detail, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, clearly there's a design aesthetic you're pursuing, which you left those details out on purpose, not by accident. But I do think it's a topic we have to at least address, right? So there's only because we've had to address it for every other applicant,
Sure.
essentially. And I don't know where that goes, but it's something that would come up. And then, there's so there's that precedent. There's another precedent we keep referring to in terms of contemporary homes that's near the Y. I don't know if you've seen this house. Do you know where the Y is in Brentwood, the YMCA?
Yeah.
Yeah,
in
so
Brentwood, sure.
just across so as you're going east on that street to the Y, just across the street, there's like a curved, you can show it if you want, yeah. But there's a modern house, which is one of the first I've ever, in 10 years of doing this, that ever came through, frankly. And it's a nice house, and we approved it as well. But it's similar, not the same as the strategy you're employing with the two volumes sort of, put against each other. But there was a little bit more play with color, and it's all, of course. Yay! Yeah. So that's not going to help. But there are some. The tall volume on the left had one color scheme. The garage volume had another. There's some play in that. Long story short, as you know very well, there's lots of different ways to get a sense of detail and variety in the massing and things. And some of that is not present, again, I know purposely in the design you're submitting.
Well, yeah, part of it is like we're not, we don't want to change up materials a lot. We're going for a more monolithic look, and we did explore actually, because we really do have kind of two volumes of space, from the outside that you're looking at, that maybe a contrasting siding, and we looked at it and really preferred more of a monochromatic look to it. Now, as far as like detailing around the windows and trim like that, at the time that we had submitted for this, we really hadn't gotten to that detail. It wasn't really that we weren't willing to provide it. We just hadn't gotten to that level of detail yet because we just bought the house. When did we buy the house? I don't know. It was like about a month and a half ago. So we worked very fast just to get to where we were here. But like, I just want to understand what your concern might be is like, we're not showing detail around the windows, or?
Well, go ahead.
Another fundamental, and again, referring to a modernist design, valid question. Are you planning on gutters?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, I mean, even things like that, when we get the gutter, we get another vertical element at the corners. You're going, it appears dark bronze based on everything we're seeing here. Are the gutters black?
Yeah, the gutters are black.
The downspouts black.
They're
'Cause
black.
Now we've got a little bit of something going on at the corners where we've got another architectural element coming down and breaking it up. I think the one piece that, as we look at the two front perspectives, because I think they're more indicative than the elevations, especially if you see it from this side, it's not in the garage. I appreciate deeply that the garage is not the main mass of the house. However, as you look at this, you're pulling up to it only from the garage angle. Is there an architectural identification of the front door? Where if I pop back over here, this had an element that kind of called out the entry.
Yeah.
So, on what you're proposing, really not all that sheltered at the front, and again, you said it nicely, not trying to design from the bench.
Right.
I would have also expected to see it.
Yes.
And again, window trim is always a big one. You've gone kind of minimal to it, but again, we're struggling with the aesthetic here because we typically will see a catalog home with vinyl siding where all they want to pay for is a J.
Right.
And so it's fairness, and it's also, and it's interesting because again, we haven't necessarily had to think about this in the context of a modern design because we don't get a lot of them, to be honest. So
Right.
and so is what you're doing appropriate to the particular design you're pursuing? And that's one thing I guess we're thinking about. The other would be context comes up a lot. So massing there's no issue with massing. Like oftentimes we're dealing with like 2-story houses that are in a sea of 1-story houses, and
Right.
people have this is not an issue there. So we're not really talking about scalar massing.
Right.
I think that's
Yeah,
not
we
a
try to be
problem.
sympathetic to the context.
Yeah, and actually, there's houses we've approved just down the street that are going up right now, right? So
Yes,
they're
I've
2-story.
seen them.
Yeah, so that's not a problem. And also, as far as the modernist, I'm paraphrasing. The more modern aesthetic. it's a kind of a commercial district in a way. I just drove by it on the way here.
It's that seam
Yeah.
between, you know, commercial on,
I mean, Frederick Roofing is directly across the street.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And the house to your left is, simple, low gable. It's actually, I think it's commercial zoning.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's, yeah,
It's a
some
business.
counseling type of.
Yeah. And then the house on the other side is also not necessarily, causing any trouble for the design. So I think sometimes those things come up. I think in this case, those are kind of covered by what the work you've done. So I'm not worried about those. So I guess I'm still phrasing it as a question and not as an answer. Relative to the amount of detail, knowing that the detail you've provided is purposeful to the design. So you mentioned some of it might not be there yet. So for instance, is there a heavier window trim
Absolutely.
considered? Okay.
Yes, for sure.
That's good. And so we will have to do
It's
a
really
noting.
gonna, it should
Yeah.
be like, when you zoomed in before, you could see kind of like, almost like a 2x member run along the top. That's actually meant to work all the way around all four sides.
Would it be heavier than 2, or would it be the 2 that you're
That
showing?
was probably about two.
And then that would be consistent around all the apertures. Would it go
yeah.
around the garage opening as well? I don't know.
I think around every opening, we would trim it out like that.
And it would match the color of the siding or the color of the window? Would it be?
It'd be the exact color of the siding.
Okay, so it's sort of it's not as bold as the window difference, but it is a physical, geometric difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the windows would be black. This is more charcoaly, kind of gray.
Right. And then there is, I guess is it what the detail at the base? That's not the concrete. Is there like a trim?
That's the planer.
No, but there's actually there's a line at the base of the siding. Is that
That's the exposed foundation.
okay? It's actually adding detail as it happens. So, so I'm trying to put things in the detail column, right?
Sure.
Gutters as mentioned, downspouts as mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, there's another month of development on the plans at this point, so I can show you those. I mean, I did bring them.
Yeah, and we do have
more
to, so that we have to vote on what's here, So
Right.
So that's
however, what, I've already started with annotations. So simple annotations that we can make that aren't.
Okay, good.
So if we have things
Enough, yeah.
extensive effort, that gives them enough background when they review
Yeah, understood.
Sorry, I was leaning back.
So I think so. The answer was given that there will be sort of equivalent trim everywhere. So it's not really drawn on the garage, but it would be there. It would be anywhere there's an opening. You said essentially.
Yes, yeah. Did you guys get we submitted an updated,
I don't know.
an updated rendering with
Yes, that we did see. Yeah, I saw the updated rendering. Yeah, is it? Did you get that one off the website?
Thought I pulled down
Yeah.
off of.
There was 2. I saw the updated one too. I actually was referring to the old paired rendering just because I could see 2 views.
Oh, gotcha.
And it's close enough, right? Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
there's more trim shown. Yeah, okay. So am I seeing there's an address? It looks like there's an address signage on there.
Yeah, that's actually a wall sconce.
It's a sconce. Okay.
It's not really scaled quite right.
I couldn't see from here. Is there one on the other side of the
Talking about
garage?
between the garage door and the.
Yeah, there's like a vertical element.
That's a wall sconce, yeah.
Is there one on the other side of the garage as well, or?
We had one there, we took it off. We didn't want to focus on the garage as much, so we,
Would call attention to the entry to the
entry.
house. Yeah.
and there is some covering at the entry, because it is recessed back about, I don't know, 30 inches or so.
Right.
And that would be, so it is covered, that part of it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, so the ridge about.
So when you come down from that high ridge, it's flushed out on the corner, but when it gets to the entry, then it's cut back and there's a little bit of cover there.
Yeah. The renderings always help, so thank you.
And I didn't mention it, but when you come in, and part of the reason why the door shifted, I mean, we had the door in the front, and then we shifted the door because we wanted to create a little bit more of a foyer area. So when you, in other words, like before, when we had it, on axis with that higher volume, you walk in and the entire house is laid out in front of you. So we didn't really want that. We wanted there to be more of a controlled view into the residence. So we moved the door to the side. So then when you come in, immediately in front of you will be a built-in that's got a coat hanging and things like that. But then you turn and you would walk into the living room, which is going to be vaulted. And you can see those windows, over there. So we'll have natural light coming into the top of that, and it's wood ceiling in there, so that, it should be a very nice space.
We talked about
Better feng shui.
right. Yeah, we talked about condensing units in the last project, and so I like
Yeah.
these are dealt with. They're
Nicely tucked
Nicely
into the
handled,
building
yeah.
line.
It's tucked in where the trash cans would be over there too, but our plan is, ultimately, we would actually have a screen, a visual screen of some kind. So from the street, you don't look down and see the condensers and the trash. That's the plan. We had actually a wing wall coming out from the house, but we elected to pull that out, and we're gonna have more of a decorative visual screen. Though we haven't come up with that design yet, but the plan is we want to screen those, even though they are within, they're off the setback, but they're visible from the street.
It's not part of our review. I'm just curious, is there going to be any sort of landscape lighting with the elements you're providing, or?
Yeah, there'll be landscape lighting, for sure. Yeah,
So, but this piece, or you're adding something to the front facade right
Yeah,
there, but
it's-
it'll
yeah.
be a decorative, not an extension of the siding.
no, at one point it was, but we didn't really like it. So we figured we can come up with another element that would screen that view that wouldn't be actually part of the built structure, but it would be more something that we would add to it. We have our own wood shop and metal fabrication shop at work, and we can come up with something. And I don't know, you guys can tell me at what point I'd have to come back to here to add it.
No, you wouldn't have to.
Okay.
I'm calling it out.
Well, and again, is it architecture? Is it site? You could probably make the argument it's site, and we wouldn't see it. So,
Okay. Oh, yeah, it would be. Yeah. All of that, what you're seeing there, what looks like a walkway back to the backyard, the edge of that sidewalk is at the property line, and then it's 5 foot to the house, and then it's recessed another 30 inches or so to nest the condensing units and the trash behind it.
So, I think we're getting to the end of what we can talk about. If when Matt's done typing, he can zoom back out to the overall elevations. We know in this room elevations don't tell the true story of how you experience anything, But the only other comment I might have is that for the long extent of elevations, the side elevations, they are relatively unbroken. There's like minimal detail happening there, and so we oftentimes think about what the experience for the neighbor will be looking at the house next door, right? So with I don't want to say less considered, but with plan book designs that are less considered, we often ask somehow to come up with something to sort of break up the sea of usually horizontal vinyl siding. But in this case, I think there's breaks in the building. If you can see, so it's not one plane the entire way across. There's volumetric breaks. Is that correct?
On the side, it's pretty much a straight shot, and it's a rectangular plan. We've got windows. Well, there is a break there, where the trash is. But I mean, if you go to the site, there is super limited views out the side. There's right now, in fact, I don't know, I need to ask somebody, at some point, there's a chain link fence with like visual strips, screen strips inside that's, you know, pretty much all the way down. It comes almost to the street and all the way down the side. So
Yeah.
I'd like to take it out, but I don't know whose it is. Because we plan on putting a privacy fence in that would start at that side door and run back to the property line and come back and then tie back into the house. I think it's shown on our plans. It should be shown on the site plan. I believe it's shown on. But, you know, I mean, I don't know what exactly we would do to enliven it for the neighbors.
Yeah, it's again, it's not really. I didn't really ask you a question. I apologize. I'm just
No, it's
thinking
okay.
out, thinking
I mean,
out
it's
loud.
okay. I mean, I'm definitely like interested in the
Yeah.
input and all that for sure. But I'm not, you know, I don't want to like change a foundation or anything to make it more interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
We have an offset here.
right. Which does, I mean, it works for all the reasons you said it does.
But the other piece that he's got,
I don't think it's an actual change.
we're gonna have some sort of downspout.
Yeah, it's broken up
vertical
there.
element.
Okay.
About here is the downspout.
Right.
Downspouts at corners.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's about the only thing that breaks side, but to your point,
And the roof line changes there too. So,
changes and downhill, this one's higher,
yeah.
and that's the lowest side of the house as we proceed back.
Right.
That's all lower. Right downspout, and that's a higher grade to the,
Yeah, to the west, yeah. And yeah, there's not a, I mean, I figured, you know, keeping like kind of a low profile and keeping it dark and they're up here, that there's won't be a whole lot to see. But I think it's gonna be a good looking house, so I think it's gonna be better looking than the one to the west, to be honest with you.
And just to restate it again for the record, there's the context is appropriate, I think, to the design. You know, like the house next door has a very similar roof pitch, the commercial,
Yeah,
part, you know.
yeah,
and
the mind body, yeah. It's
actually,
very
both
similar.
have similar roof pitches. The other one's different,
little-
but the pitch is similar.
Yeah,
The scale is similar. You know, the
both
more
1 stories, I think, or one might be 1.5, the one to the, about the west.
the commercial nature of the area. I agree with all that. So I don't have any more questions, Matt.
might be nitpicky at this point, but lights at the side and rear doors.
Will there, is that the question, is will there be?
Yes.
Yes, there definitely will be. And yeah, they're shown now. They're on this drawing, but I know I can't show it to you. Or can I? Can I just show it to them?
I'd sure like to see it.
Bring it
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Saw something in the plan, I was wondering. I'm going to revise board and batten here also.
I have the LP panel on my house, and it's holding up well. It's been like 12 years. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. Yeah. It's the joints that you have to watch, the seams, because they get sealed and then they get weird. But has anybody joined since we've been talking? Not even Paul?
All right, I had a gutter and downspout called out for the exterior lighting. Decorative sconce, screen, and 2-inch window trim, all openings, all sides, typical match siding color. And then I revised the description of the board and batten siding to be vertical plank pattern siding.
The actual color is abyss black. It's not really black. It's pretty close to what the rendering, the updated rendering shows.
Yeah, there's a new one. Let Matt weigh that one because we're noting the old drawings. So if we reference the new drawings, then it makes for some confusion.
Sorry about that.
The rendering's easy, it's just
Yeah.
one for one, but yeah.
Date of the new one, 6/14.
I suppose any notes that you've put on the old set would just transfer over to the new set if there was any confusion.
Really cross paths because these are elevation style and those are renderings with.
There was the difference of the sconces showing in the plan, and so there's a few differences. We should ask then, is there any other differences we wouldn't have known to ask, I guess, between the two sets?
But between what was submitted initially and now, on the exterior, I don't believe so.
Which is primarily what we are concerned with, but we didn't have the new, we have the new rendering, but not the new full elevations. At least I haven't seen them.
Right.
So
I'm
I'm
not
going
sure.
off of what I'm seeing and we've discussed here, which is the old set.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for elevations, we're going to look to the old set, which is marked up. And for sconce locations, we'll look to the new set because that's where they live. And then the rendering is the rendering.
Well, and the new set that you guys haven't received yet, right, for the sconces, that'll be on the permit set. That you guys will just check and make sure that we did put them, well, they're already on there, but, right, it is just.
I added notes for wall-mounted lights to
Yeah.
that elevation.
I would move to approve as noted.
I will second. Just one more check, no virtual attendees, so. Calling the roll, Carl Carlin,
Yes.
Matt Foreman, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will save these, the PDFs, the blue beam PDFs down, email them to them, so they will have them when
Perfect.
permit gets filed.
Very good.
Saved it so I don't lose them. All right. Back to our agenda. Public comments, seeing no one in the chamber and no one online. We will move on to building official director's report.
Apologize. We've received applications for the July meeting, so that is July 18th. If you could mark your calendars and let us know if you will be in attendance.
I'm in town.
I'm done with vacation. I can't afford to go anywhere else. So
Stonehenge.
go to Stonehenge. Seeing no other items on the agenda, move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And no, I didn't, Jessica didn't give me a gavel this time.
Are we off the air now?